Bhāgavatam. We continue with Canto 1. We finished chapter 5 yesterday, and today we're going to start with chapter 6. Om Jnanatimidandhasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshur Unmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Guruve Namaha. Namam Vishnupadaya Krishna Presthaya Bhutale Srimati Bhaktivedanta Swaminiti Namine. Namaste Saraswati Devi Gaurvani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Deshatarine. Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shri Vyasadeva Gaur Bhakta Vrinda. Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram 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 Hare Hare. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. So we saw in chapter 5 the wonderful conversation between Srila Vyasadeva and Narada Muni. Just imagine our fortune, as we've discussed before, but it's apt to repeat that these personalities are no ordinary personalities. And imagine Srila Narada Muni. He is the spiritual master of all the wonderful devotees like Dhruva Maharaj, Prahlad Maharaj. There are so many wonderful devotees. Narada Muni is the spiritual master of. And he is speaking to Vyasadeva. Now, who is Vyasadeva? He has compiled, he has written everything, right? All the scriptures, Itihasas, Puranas, Vedas. And then at the end, Narada Muni tells Vyasadeva that, okay, this is still not enough. You have not glorified Lord Krishna, the Supreme Personality of Godhead. And he also gives the reason that especially in Kali Yuga, people will be inclined to just stay where they are if they see some benefit. They won't look for any superior or any higher benefit. And we see that even in our case, that happens. Wherever we are just comfortable. It is said that most people find it better to be comfortable than to be thoughtful. Most people find it better to be comfortable than to be thoughtful. Because if you're thoughtful, you will not accept the status quo and you want to progress further and further and further. Whereas if you're comfortable, then there's no impetus for progress. So Narada Muni is telling Vyasadeva that please describe the glories of Krishna so that even if people in Kali Yuga get hold of Srimad Bhāgavatam, they will be liberated just by studying Srimad Bhāgavatam. And of course, we saw, he speaks about the glories of Lord Shri Krishna, and then he says, how can people in this day and age become attached to Krishna by dedicating their services to the Lord. He speaks a little bit about himself, and then, at the end, he says, yes, we have to describe the glories of Krishna, and which will satisfy the hankerings of the intelligent people. At the same time, it will mitigate the miseries of the masses of common people. So it is satisfying both of them. And then he says, indeed, there is no other way to get out of such miseries. So amazing 5th chapter with a lot of instructions, a lot of lessons for us. Some of the verses, of course, they are like rocket verses which can propel us right from the bottom of the chain in spiritual life to the topmost platform. So let's come to chapter 6, text number 1. The chapter 6 is entitled Conversation between Narada and Vyasadeva. So text number 1. Sūta uvacha evam nishamya bhagavan devarshir janma karmacha bhuyah paprichatam brahman vyasah satyavati sutah. Sūta uvacha evam nishamya bhagavan devarshir janma karmacha bhuyah prapachatam brahman Vyasa Satyavati Sutah. What word? Sūta uvacha, Sūta said. Evam, thus, nishamya, hearing, Bhagavan, the powerful incarnation of God, Devarshe, of the great sage among the gods, Janma, birth, Karma, work, Cha, and Bhuyah, again, Papricha, asked, Tam, him, Brahman, O brāhmaṇas, Vyasaha, Vyasadeva, Satyavati, Sūta, the son of Satyavatī. Does someone want to read the translation and purport? It's a very short purport, just one line, 2 lines. Anyone wants to?
Hare
Yes.
Krishna, shall I do it?
Yes, please.
Sūta said, O Brahmanas, thus hearing all about Śrī Nārada's birth and activities, Vyasadeva, the incarnation of God and son of Satyavatī, inquired as follows. Purport. Vyasadeva was further inquisitive to know about the perfection of Naradji, and therefore he wanted to know about him more and more. In this chapter, Naradaji will describe how he was able to have a brief audience with the Lord while he was absorbed in the transcendental thought of separation from the Lord, and when it was very painful for him.
Thank you, Bhai. So here Sūta Goswami is narrating that yes, Narad Muni has actually given the instructions. Now what does Vyasadeva do? He wants to inquire a little bit more. And this is the nature of conversation of these personalities. We see in Bhagavad Gita also, the conversation is very spontaneous, very open, and very, very flowing conversation. Arjuna is asking one question again, from different angles. Now Krishna doesn't tell him, hey, I just told you that. Why are you asking again? No. Krishna is very patient, and he's answering Arjuna's questions from many different angles. Here also we see that actually the first canto is the preface for Srīmad Bhāgavatam. It is just, giving you the history and the background. The last maybe 2 or 3, maybe 4, you can say, 4 chapters of the first canto actually starting to speak about Parikshit Maharaj and Sukadeva Goswami. And then in the second canto, Sukadeva Goswami actually starts answering the questions of Parikshit Maharaj. Parikshit Maharaj is asking the question, okay, what is the duty of mankind in general and specifically of someone who's just about to die? And Sukadeva Goswami actually, he's so excited to answer, he's so happy to hear this question. He's just arrived at the scene. Parikshit Maharaj is already there, and all the assembled sages are there, all the personalities are there. Sukadeva Goswami, a beautiful description is given in the first chapter of second canto. How he looks, like amazing, even though he's like not dressed properly, or actually not even dressed, and followed by women and boys of the village, throwing dirt at him and all that. But the people also recognize that yes, this is the person who we want to hear from. And Sukadeva Goswami, when he is welcomed by Parikshit Maharaj, and when he is offered a seat, there's some beautiful words. And then he's so excited after hearing the question that without even speaking the Mangalacharan, he starts answering the question. Normally, when these conversations happen, we start with Mangalacharan. But Sukadeva Goswami is reciting the Mangalacharan right in the middle of the second canto. So here, same thing. Naradji has spoken whatever has to be spoken. But because in spiritual life, the disciples are not satiated, the devotees are not satiated, they're asking questions from different angles so that the conversation can go on and on and on. So here we see that Naradji is going to describe how he had a brief audience with the Lord, and then again he was separated from the Lord. Text number 2, we move on to. Vyasa uvacha bhikshubhirvipravivasite vigyane dashtubhistavaha vartamano vayasyade tatah kim akarod bhavan. Vyasa uvacha, Śrī Vyāsadeva said, bhikshubhi, by the great mendicants, Vipravasite, having departed for other places. Vijnana, scientific knowledge in transcendence. Adeshtrabi, those who had instructed. Tava, of your Vartamana, present. Vayasi, of the duration of life. Adye, before the beginning of. Tata, after that. Kim, what. Akarot, did. Bhavan, your good self. Translation and purport by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada. Jagat Guru Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. Translation. Śrī Vyāsadeva said, what did you, Narada, do after the departure of the great sages who had instructed you in scientific transcendental knowledge before the beginning of your present birth? Purport. Vyasadeva himself was the disciple of Naraji, and therefore it was natural to be anxious to hear what Narada did after initiation from the spiritual masters. He wanted to follow in Narada's footsteps in order to attain to the same perfect stage of life. This desire to inquire from the spiritual master is an essential factor to the progressive path. This process is technically known as Sadharma Pricha. Pricha means to inquire, and Sadharma means to find out, to inquire about the absolute truth, our innate nature and connection with the Lord. One time, the devotees were with the Brahmananda Prabhu. Brahmananda Prabhu was just about to leave the planet, and he was in Vrindavan, and the devotees were asking many questions about his time with Srila Prabhupada. And then one question was asked that, Brahmananda Prabhu, what is the hardest service, what is the most difficult service you had to do for Srila Prabhupada? Because as we know, Brahmananda Prabhu did some amazing services for Srila Prabhupada, including carrying Srila Prabhupada when Prabhupada couldn't even move. So he was sitting on a chair. I don't know whether it was a wheelchair or just an ordinary chair. This was in Mumbai Central Station. The train had already started. They were going from Mumbai to Mathura to reach Vrindavan. And Brahmananda Prabhu, in the moving train, he held Prabhupada's chair, and Brahmananda Prabhu was big built, and the doors of the trains in India are quite, especially the mail trains, are quite narrow. And Brahmananda Prabhu actually picked up Prabhupada on his chair, and he was, taking Prabhupada in the compartment in a moving train. He's done very wonderful services for Prabhupada. And then he was asked, what is the most difficult service you have done for Srila Prabhupada? Brahmananda Prabhu actually thought for a while. And he said, the most difficult service which I did for Prabhupada was to chant 16 quality rounds every day on my beads. Just imagine. For us, we think, doing big services are, that means we want to do big things. But Brahmananda Prabhu said the most difficult thing was chanting 16 quality rounds daily on beads. And when we make inquiries like this, then we understand that yes, going back to the basics and chanting good quality rounds is very important. So here, Vyasadeva is also asking Narad Muni, okay, the sages departed, they gave you the knowledge. After that, what did you do? And how do you even remember? Because Vyasadeva also wanted to follow in the footsteps of Narad Muni, as Prabhupada says in the purport, to attain the same perfect stage of life. Any questions or comments before we move to the next verse? These are very short purports here. Text number 3. Swayambhuva kaya vritya vartitam te param vayah katham chedam udashrakshihi kale prapte kale varam. What word? Swayambhuva, O son of Brahma. Kaya, under what condition? Vritya, occupation. Vartitam, was spent. Te, you. Param, after the initiation. Vayaha, duration of life. Katham, how. Cha, and. Idam, this. Udashrakshi, Kshishi. Did you quit? Kale, in due course. Prapte, having attained. Kalevaram, body. Translation and purport by His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami, Srila Prabhupada ki jai. O son of Brahma, how did you pass your life after initiation? And how did you attain this body, having quit your old one in due course? Purport. Śrī Nārada Muni in his previous life was just an ordinary maid servant's son. So how he became a perfectly transformed into the spiritual body of eternal life, bliss and knowledge is certainly important. Śrī Vyāsadeva desired him to disclose the facts for everyone's satisfaction. So Vyasadeva is also inquiring exactly what happened after initiation. In our case, many times we see that we work very hard, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 years. But once we get initiated, then the enthusiasm dies down. We have our legal names, legal identities. Then when we get initiated, we become Das. We understand we have to become a Das, Anudas. But once everyone starts calling us Prabhu, then, our enthusiasm dies down. But here we see Vyasadeva is inquiring from Narada Muni, yes, you became initiated, and then how did you attain this body? Especially, as we know, Narada Muni is a transcendental spaceman. And his spirit, his body is also of eternal life, bliss and knowledge. And he is a Devarshi. Devarshi means he is the Rishi or the Guru of even the Devatas. So just imagine his position. He is the one who can go anywhere, anytime. He can also go in the quarters, in the private quarters of Lord Shri Krishna without invitation. And as we know in the 10th canto, when Narad Muni wants to see Krishna has married, 16,108 wives, what does he do with them? And then he goes and visits each and every one of them. And we see even Lord Krishna, he doesn't say, hey, I'm busy. Why are you coming without appointment? Krishna actually welcomes Narad Muni. So this is the personality whom even the Lord welcomes with, great heart. So Vyasadeva, of course, wants to know. And in our case, we also should want to know, okay, what can we do? What can we do? What can we do so that we can follow in the footsteps of Srila Prabhupada, of Srila Vyasadeva, Srila Narad Muni, and the entire parampara? So Narad Muni's story from the ordinary maid servant's son to this place of being a very wonderful devotee who is very close to Lord Krishna is being narrated in this chapter. Text number 4.
Hare Krishna, Prabhu.
Yes, Prabhu.
I have a question on this.
Yes.
Is Narada Muni a person or is it just a role, Prabhu?
No, he's a person.
So the person doesn't change. It will always be the same
Narad
person.
Muni. Yes,
Oh.
there are some roles in the spiritual world which are persons. Some roles are changing. So the roles which are taken up are taken up. All we can do when we go to the spiritual world is serve, their assistants, their assistants, their assistants. Spiritual world also we are Das, Anudas. So Narad Muni is a person. Recently, I think one of the lectures, Bhanu Swami clarified that Narad Muni is a person, whereas the posts of Brahmā and Manu, they keep on changing.
And what is his role, Prabhu? Apart from going from spiritual world to other worlds, what basically is his role?
That's a big role, Prabhu. Just imagine that. Being guru to people like Dhruva Maharaj and Prahlad Maharaj is not a small role. When Narad Muni, the whole Bhāgavatam is written, where he wants to find out who is the recipient of the greatest mercy of the Lord. He is going and visiting each and every wonderful devotee, right from a little brāhmaṇa, a small brāhmaṇa in South India, right up to Lord Shiva and all the way up to spiritual world. So Narad Muni has got wonderful responsibilities. Of course, his personality is such that he's always happy because he's always thinking of the Lord. He always is compassionate. He wants to give the mercy of the Lord to everyone. So it's not a small role, Prabhu. It's a very very responsible role because like in case of Kayadhu, the wife of Hiranyakashipu and mother of Prahlad Maharaj. he realized that Prahlad Maharaj has to be saved, and the Devatas actually had kidnapped Kayadhu so that they can, I don't know whether it was to kill the son who was going to be born or whatever, but then Narad Muni had to go and convince the Devatas that the son to be born of Kayadhu is going to be a great devotee of the Lord. So please, let Kayadhu come under my protection. So this way, Narad Muni, in many, many past times, he is going and helping the devotees. And Narad Muni is one personality who is revered both by the demons and by the devotees, both by the suras and asuras, because even the demons know that even if Narad Muni comes here, he'll speak some nice sentences, some nice instructions for our benefit. Whether we follow or not, this is different. But at least Narad Muni will have some good intentions for us in his heart. He doesn't have any malice towards anyone, including the demons. Now, for example, when Kans could not kill Krishna through all his demons, sent to Vrindavan, Narad Muni goes and tells Kamsa that, hey, anyone, they say, as apni gali mein kutta bhi sher hota hai, right? So he says, Krishna, in his own home ground, he will always be, brave and more courageous, and he will have support of his people. You should invite Krishna and Balaram to Mathura, in your territory, then see what you can do. So this is a ploy by Narad Muni to hasten the process of Krishna killing Kamsa. But Kamsa thinks, yeah, actually Narad Muni is giving me good advice. Let me just try that. Then he sends a Kurura. So Narad Muni is this way. Many places he plays a very vital role, Prabhu.
Thank you, Prabhu. Hare Krishna.
Okay. So 1.6.4, text number 4. Prakakalpa vishayam etam smritim te munisattama nahi esha vyavadhat kala esha sarva nirakritihi. Synonyms: prior, kalpa, the duration of Brahma's day, vishayam, the subject matter, etam, all these, smritim, remembrance, te, your, muni sattama, O great sage. Such a nice word, muni sattama. O great sage, no, not, he certainly, esha, all these, vyavadhat, made any difference, kalaha, course of time, esha, all these, sarva, all, nirakritihi, annihilation. Does someone want to read the translation and purport, please? Please unmute yourself and speak up.
Hare Krishna Prabhu, I'll read it.
Yes, Mother.
Translation by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada ki Jai. O great sage, time annihilates everything in due course. So how is it that this subject matter which happened prior to this day of Brahma is still fresh in your memory and undisturbed by time? Purport. As spirit is not annihilated even after the annihilation of the material body, so also spiritual consciousness is not annihilated. Śrī Nārada developed this spiritual consciousness even when he had his material body in the previous kalpa. Consciousness of the material body means spiritual consciousness expressed through the medium of a material body. This consciousness is inferior, destructible, and perverted. But superconsciousness of the supramind in the spiritual plane is as good as the spirit soul and is never annihilated. Hare Krishna Prabhu. Thank you, Prabhu.
Thank you. This is the beauty of Srila Prabhupada. It's such a short purport, but such a powerful purport. If you can read this purport and try to understand, yes, Narad Muni, just imagine, not even the same kalpa, it's a very different kalpa, very different yuga, and Narad Muni still remembers. And here Vyasadeva says, yes, he asks a question that time annihilates everything in due course. as we know, that there are different, modes of time, as we know. We have a clock time, we have a body time, we have a psychological time. In psychological time, where we see that when we are happy, the time is going fast. It says time flies when you're having fun. But when we are not happy or very unhappy, going through some stress, some difficulty, we think that time is going so slow. It's interesting, sometimes we should sit back and just see how the time has passed. Last 5, 10, 15, 20 years. Just sit back and think, what did I do? And even when we become devotees, we should think, okay, I've been in the movement for 5, 10 years. I've been initiated so long. What have I done? What have I contributed? In the second canto, in the third chapter, there's a very nice verse. Sukadeva Goswami is speaking. It says, both by rising and by setting, the sun decreases the duration of life of everyone. So both by rising and by setting, the sun decreases the duration of life of everyone. Do you ever think like that? No, we never think like that. Yes, the sun is decreasing the duration of life of us. But then the verse continues as, except one who utilizes the time by discussing topics of the all good personality of Godhead. So except for the devotees who are utilizing the time by discussing topics of the all good personality of Godhead, time is destroying every minute. Prabhupada used to quote Chanakya Pandit very often. He says, one moment of time which is lost cannot be bought by millions of gold coins. Then you have lost 1 minute, you will not get it back even by spending millions of gold coins. So here we can see Vyasadeva is reminding us that time annihilates everything in due course. We should be very aware of this. Prabhupada used to say, don't waste 1 minute. He says, devotees utilize every moment of their life in serving Krishna. Narada Muni has done the same thing. And then Prabhupada here in this purport also describes that Śrī Nārada Muni, he developed this spiritual consciousness even when he had this material body in the previous kalpa. So by following the instructions of the devotees of the Bhaktivedantists, Narada Muni started practicing. He wandered, as we will see in this chapter, the 26th verse, which Viraj Prabhu very kindly touched upon in one of the Sunday classes, that what does Narada Muni do? And he travels all around the world without undergoing any formality, and he's completely free of all the vices, and is constantly taking the Lord's names. Prabhupada says, consciousness of the material body means spiritual consciousness expressed through the medium of a material body. So even though we have a material body now, but when we convert our consciousness into Krishna consciousness, our material body will express that consciousness to be Krishna conscious. And that will be both internal and external. And Prabhupada says that in this case, currently now, our consciousness is inferior, destructible, and perverted. But when we become Krishna conscious, when we follow in the footsteps of Śrīla Vyāsadeva and Narada Muni, Prabhupada says, but super consciousness of the supra mind in the spiritual plane is as good as a spirit soul and is never annihilated. So basically, the subtle body, it doesn't exist in the spiritual world. The spirit soul itself is so enlightened, so enlivened in the service of Krishna that we don't need our mind there, because the spirit soul itself desires and performs the services in assisting the other devotees, or in whatever position we have in the service of Lord Krishna. So it's 7 o'clock. Thank you very much. If there are any questions or comments, again, these are very, very wonderful verses. It's short purpose. So if we have time today, we should go through these verses and meditate upon these verses and try to see what Prabhupada tries to tell us. Grantaraj Srīmad Bhāgavatam ki jai, Jagadguru Srila Prabhupada ki jai, Gaur Bhakta-vrinda ki jai. Any comments or questions or any reflections, realizations? Anyone? Okay? Thank you all very much for joining. Have a wonderful Krishna conscious day. This evening, please remember that we are having a wonderful East Goshti where we can discuss the experiences, the benefits, the reflections, the challenges, the questions of our spiritual lives. So please come to the Hare Krishna Burbank Temple and get the most out of that 1 hour spent in the association of devotees. Thank you very much. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji. Thank you.
Hare Krishna.
Hare
so much.
Krishna.
Thank
Hare
you.
Krishna, Prabhu. Thank you, Prabhu.
Thank you so much, Prabhu.